Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today we are going to talk about the fundamental building block to the ACT English section. This is the tool that you're going to want to use to get all of those tricky grammar questions right, where you're having to decide between commas and semicolons and dashes and periods and all that stuff. So let's jump into it. So this fundamental building block that we have to understand to get all of these grammar questions right is the difference between independent and dependent clauses, and we need to know how to identify those clauses really easily. So let's start with an independent clause here. I ran, right? This is an example of a really simple independent clause. It's a complete thought. It could be its own sentence. And if you were to go to your friends and say this, like let's say you were hanging out with them and they said, "Hey, Grantley, what did you do last night? What were you up to?" And I said, "I ran." It would be a complete thought, right? It would be a little weird. Like you might want to talk with them a little more than just say like, "Hey, I ran," and leave. But that would be you being impolite to your friends, which is a whole other issue here. But at its core, right? If you just said, "Yeah, I ran," that's a complete thought. Now, if we pull up when I ran, for instance, this is a dependent clause, right? If you, again, were hanging with your friends and they said, "Hey, Grantley, what's going on? What were you up to last night?" And I said, "When I ran," and then you just leave it at that, that would be, they want to know more. When you ran, what happened? That's not a complete thought. And that is the core difference between an independent and a dependent clause. An independent clause is its own standalone idea. It can be a complete sentence. It can stand on its own. A dependent clause here is not. It cannot stand on its own. And if you notice here, this dependent clause, when I ran, it has this key little word, when. And when is a dependent marker. So that's another really good way to identify whether something is an independent or a dependent clause, if it has one of these dependent markers in front of it, like the word when. So for the sake of this next video, right, we're going to talk about joining these clauses together and how that works. The independent clauses are always going to be green because they are like a complete sentence and good to go. And the dependent clauses are going to be blue because they're not a complete sentence. And if you are still a little confused on these independent or dependent clauses and you want to do a deeper dive, check out the ACT Everything course linked below. We have a much longer video in there about independent and dependent clauses, and we have a worksheet on all of those dependent markers as well, so that you can just memorize them and identify dependent clauses very quickly. But if you feel all good on this, like I said, just go ahead, make sure to like and subscribe, all of that, because the next video up here, the next video that you're going to see is going to be that video that I just described. It says, okay, cool, you know independent clauses, you know dependent clauses, let's just go ahead and figure out how to join them with commas, semicolons, regular colons maybe, dashes, all of the things that I know, because I remember from taking the ACT, are so confusing on this exam. But if you know them, you're just going to get all the questions right. And it's so easy and your score will go way up. And it's a really great thing, honestly. But I can't wait to see all of you in our next video. Like I said, like and subscribe and all of that good stuff, just so you know when I release this next video and all of that. See you all later. Bye.